Welcome to our series, Moving America Forward. Each week we'll be focusing on America's entrepreneurs as they take us to new roads, new opportunities, new ways to fill the gaps left by today's failing companies. Our series will be looking at that and a lot more. So come with me and watch as the entrepreneurs of our nation move into the future.
And I'm Doug Llewellyn here in our Los Angeles studio with our guests today who are from a company named Iroquois Promotions, which is part of the Cattaraugus territory of the Seneca Nation of obviously Native Americans. And they're headquartered near Buffalo in New York. I'd like you to meet our guests now. First here on my left is Ross John, who's the owner of the firm. And beg pardon?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And on his left is John Kane, who is a radio host who does a lot of work with this firm. It's a very interesting story that you gentlemen have to tell. I want to point out that, John, a little while ago, you had a chance to answer some questions from William Shatner, which is kind of a unique opportunity. Let's take a brief look at how a small portion of that went, and we'll continue, okay?
Okay.
Let's watch this.
You are certainly in an interesting business, but take a moment to describe to me exactly what you do and who you do it for and how it helps move America forward.
Mr. Shatner, America cannot move forward without first addressing the people who came before them. It is our mission as representatives of Native people to break down barriers, stereotypes, and educate the world of our heritage and our history. We are helping to move America forward by creating jobs, sustainability, and working with non-Native people to create a better world for all of us. Mr. Shatner, our voice must be heard.
Gentlemen, that was very interesting indeed. Let's get right to the chase of why you're here, because I think what you provide is a very interesting service. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, I mean, we all know the native reservations have become known for their success, especially in the gaming industry. But what I understand now is they want to diversify and they want to get into other things. Am I right?
That's right. It was never our intention to stay in gas, gaming, and cigarettes.
Right.
We never wanted that to be our legacy for the next generations to come. We kind of use it as a catalyst or a means for economic development. Now we start to develop those resources. We have research to help invest, and we have economic development philosophies and agendas that we want to move forward that will help out not just Native people, but people around in the surrounding communities and territories and throughout the United States.
But you're running into roadblocks along the way, as I understand.
Sure. I mean, it's really a misunderstanding of who we are and our sovereignty. And I think for the most part is what our argument is, or what our position is, that we want America, we want the states that we're in to embrace our sovereignty as a tool for economic development. We think it can enhance the overall economic development of the regions, because there's a lot of assets that can be brought. And we're tired of being socialized, basically, as a people. I'm first generation business person.
Right.
So I'm first position business person in my nation, and so we're a phenomena, but we're starting to crawl out from that. We're starting to get that energy, that initiative, and creating that vision to move our people forward. And as we move our people forward, we can help move everybody else forward.
Well, I know this is what you talk a lot about on the radio when you do your radio shows. By the way, let's put a plug in for them. Where are these shows that you do?
I do two shows. They're both weekly shows. I do Let's Talk Native with John Kane, and that's on
BAI.
No, that's a WWKB in Buffalo.
Okay.
And that's a 2-hour program, a live call-in 2-hour program.
Right.
And then I do a 1-hour program in New York City on WBAI. Okay. And that's on, the Buffalo show is on Sunday evenings at 9 Eastern, and the New York show is on Thursday mornings at 9 o'clock.
So what are the kind of issues that you deal with on that show that have relationship to what we're talking about?
Well, and again, to build on what Ross was talking about, and your initial question, gaming is a good example. But what happens is that there's been a misinterpretation on why gaming even exists. We oftentimes will hear people say, oh, well, yeah, we mistreated the Indians, so now we gave them gaming. And that could be farther from the truth. Gaming is possible because of our sovereignty. And frankly, the states and the federal government were scared of it. In fact, when we first got involved in gaming, coming out of the 80s, we met a lot of resistance from the states. And in fact, here in California, the state of California was trying to shut down a small high-stakes bingo operation on the Cabazon territory. This went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled in favor. And frankly, all the Supreme Court did was validate what we always knew, that we had the sovereign right to do various types of businesses, including things like gaming. And as a result of that, Congress scrambled to come up with a set of laws that they felt like they could put some structure around what Indian gaming would look like. But the fact of the matter is, we always had the right to do it. But we start from a place where we have to fight the state and the federal government in asserting our sovereignty, even though when you look at it now, you could see in a lot of areas where native gaming has become a boon for an entire region. That's the exact kind of thing that we're talking about. Yeah. We're saying embrace our sovereignty, stop fighting us on every turn as we're trying to assert our sovereignty, because you may find out that by embracing our sovereignty, we could contribute a regional benefit to an area that goes well beyond our native territories.
Give me an example of what you're talking about. I know that you're up in the New York area near Buffalo. What kinds of things could you be doing, or what do you envision?
Look, now we're talking to people in the tech corridors, people from the universities, from the medical science groups in the area. Large research institutions on cancer and diabetes and electronics. And what we're basically telling them is that, look, especially in New York, it's very difficult to get a foothold on how to start business. What we're basically telling them is that we're now in a position that we can invest, but we also want to open up parts of our territory. We also want to make a pitch for saying, don't be afraid of allowing us to take some of our old property back where it would benefit the region, because we can do things through sovereignty for economic development that nobody else could do.
And when you talk about through sovereignty, are there tax advantages for a company who might, or an organization that might elect to do some work on the reservations?
There's tax advantages, but it's before that there's regulatory advantages.
Right.
In other words, there's huge bureaucracy that have gone through large businesses in this country, and New York State is famous for it. So there's years of hurdles of getting through the regulatory quagmire that people are put up with. We're saying that we want to help, that we want to open up our territories to advance those technologies by expediting in a way that people can get shovel in the ground and start doing their demonstration products, start moving projects forward, because we want to see some of this new technology move into the mainstream at a faster pace.
Other than gaming, are there any great examples of what you're talking about? I mean, the gaming there's no question, but it's hugely successful.
Well, I mean, but it is more than gaming. But even beyond specific examples, if you just generally look at how much intellectual property ends up leaving the United States because it can't be turned into manufacturing, it can't be developed technologically in this country because of the bureaucracies, because of the regulations, because of taxes. What we're saying that clearly when you have a clean slate, because our territories are not mired down with all of these regulatory hurdles, that we can create a clean slate that allows us to craft the types of protections that are necessary to make sure that we aren't being reckless, but at the same time embrace the university structure, embrace those people who have something that they want to bring to market, but are oftentimes forced to have to take it to Pakistan or India or China. But and that's a general answer. But there are hundreds of examples of we have a product specifically that we're working on, which has to do with radiant floor heating panels.
Yeah.
In all likelihood, this is the kind of product that would have normally gotten manufactured in another country and then re-imported back to the United States. But this is something that it's a sustainable energy product that the Ross John's company is involved in bringing to manufacture right on our territories.
It's a great example. Sure. I pointed out the name of your company is Iroquois Promotions. What does Iroquois Promotions do?
Well, our company basically is out there to use a voice like John's, my voice or whoever else we can get. We're looking for that those personalities in any country to be able to speak out, not necessarily from the government end or the institutional end, but the people that have the ability to freely think about solutions for our people, which translate into solutions for everybody else around us. So we're a promotional company, basically, but we are a part of a larger holding company that I control.
Right.
And Iroquois Promotion is our media and promotions arm to that.
And who do you approach primarily to try and get support for what sounds like really worthwhile plans?
Our target is everybody. We want to promote ourselves into being a national, international, local voice on Native issues. Most of the time when you come into Indian country, when somebody says, well, we're going to bring in a Native expert, it's usually a non-Native. Right. It's usually somebody from the government. It's usually somebody from industry.
Academia, perhaps.
Academia. And what we're basically saying is that we know that we're the real Native experts. And then we understand our position. We understand sovereignty. We understand sustainability. We understand where the planet's going. And we want to be at the table to have those conversations because we think it's very important for the future of this country and the planet.
But but let me add to that.
Sure.
When you ask who do we approach business leaders. We approach governmental leaders. Ross has sat down with folks, high-level folks in New York State. I've done the same. We've had meetings with senior policy advisors to the White House on issues that oftentimes are involved in either some potential conflict that we have over overreach by the federal government and the state government, but also as we look at economic development. So. And of course, I use my radio programs as an outreach to everybody. So, all the while, we're always prepared to sit down with various leaders in business and government. Sure. We're also trying to reach out to the grassroots people because you never know where the next great idea is going to come from.
We've also
Gentlemen, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but it's a great story that you have to tell, and you've really told it very well. I mean, I hear you loud and clear what you're trying to do. And I guess you just have to keep banging on the door, right?
That's it.
You're not about to give up.
Well, that's what we're bound and determined to do.
We're not going anywhere.
Thank you so much. It's been nice having you here.
Thank you.
This organization represents companies across our great nation that embody the spirit, dedication, know-how, and can-do attitude which has made America the great nation that it is today. And now let's present the Keeping America Strong Award.
Now it's my honor to present this prestigious award to Ross John, the president of Iroquois Promotions, for the outstanding work his firm is doing to help move America forward. Ross, congratulations.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much.